It's overwhelming. That was not my, that was
a
not.
part? Wow.
No, it was this.
No. That was a part.
Look, it was this. I can do it again. Hi. So I'm finally filming a video that I said I was gonna film for like a year now. My roommate story time video. This is probably gonna be one of the longest videos I've ever posted, but I really think it's an interesting story. Like, I think it's worth sticking around or even just watching in parts if you don't want to listen to me talk for too long. I had to write an outline because that's how much went down. And so I don't get bored, and hopefully so you guys don't get bored, I'm gonna also be coloring because I don't want to just sit here and talk. I did a bunch of lines, and then in each little shape I'm gonna draw a pattern like I did on this page. Do it with me. I want to see what you come up with. Is anyone gonna do it? Probably not, but if you do, I would love to see it. About this time last year, I was sleeping on my dad's couch. Technically I had a bedroom at his house, but it was really hot upstairs, so I chose to sleep on the couch. It wasn't like I was like homeless or anything, but I had a personal goal that I wanted to be moved out by the end of the year. I was working every day. I started saving up some money. Little old me knew nothing about renting an apartment. In this time, I thought I would be able to afford, let me talk in complete sentences. I thought I would be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment, not realizing, because I wasn't a big girl yet, I didn't realize that it's expensive to have a 1-bedroom apartment. I posted on Facebook that I was looking for 1-bedroom apartments, and I got a Facebook message from this girl. So I had met her one other time in my life, and it was when I worked at a thrift store, and I was the cashier that day, and she came to my register and she was buying a bunch of baby clothes. I think I said something like, oh, do you have a baby or something, like, just, you know, being a cashier. And she started telling me that she was part of this Facebook group where like girls help other girls out, and there was some mom who was in need of like baby clothes. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And she was like, yeah, I can actually add you to the group, just write your name down. So like, just being polite, I wrote my name down. I was like, yeah, add me to the Facebook group, whatever. She talked for so long that a line formed, and like as a cashier I couldn't be rude and like tell her to leave, so I'm just like, oh yeah, that's nice, like what she was saying. And my manager had to come up and be like, hey, is there a problem here? And then I'm like, no, there's no issue. And then the girl's like, no, we were just talking. And then my manager was like, okay, well, we got to keep the line moving. Like, literally had to tell her to leave. That is how I met this girl. She did end up adding me into that group that I actually left like the next day because I got too many notifications from it. Because she added me to the group, we ended up being Facebook friends, and hadn't really heard from her much. I think the other message from her was like for like a pyramid scheme, but I didn't respond. And then she messaged me about the apartment. She said,
hey girl, I know you said you don't want a roommate, but my apartment is a 2-bed and 1-bath with a significant amount of privacy considering, and I would love to have you as a roommate.
I was desperate at this point. I didn't understand really what it was like to get an apartment, so I was kind of under the impression that like I kind of had to get in where I could get in. I remembered her name. I remembered I met her one time, so I was like, that's better than just living with a random roommate. Anyway, so I messaged back and I was like, oh my gosh, where is it at? How much would it be? She told me and like whatever, gave me all the deets, and I ended up saying, this is amazing.
It might be exactly what I need. I'm not looking to move until August. Is that okay?
This was June 10th, so 2 months before I was ready to actually move because I needed to save up more money and stuff. And she was like,
yeah, that's perfect because that's when the leasing period ends.
And so I was like, are you currently living with a roommate right now? Because I was like, whose room am I taking over?
And she said no, she graduated and took a job in another city that's further away and decided not to sublease, so I'm living alone for the remainder of the summer and my lease.
At this time, when I saw this, I didn't know what a sublease was, and if you're watching this, you might not know either, so I'm gonna tell you. So you sign a lease that says, I am paying rent and I am living here for this amount of months, and I am obligated to pay that rent. So this particular roommate signed a lease for August to July. This is June that she messaged me. She said that this roommate decided not to sublease, which means sublease is if you end up not being able to stay for those months that you signed off of, you have to find another person to take over your lease to pay your rent, or else you still have to pay your rent. So basically what she was telling me is that no one's living in that room, but they decided not to sublease, which means the girl was still paying her rent and not living there because she got a job somewhere else. I don't know if that was true, but like looking back now, you don't do that. You don't just pay your rent and not live there. I don't know. That could be me being skeptical. So anyways, I decided to sign a lease, and my move-in date was like August 8th or something like that, like the beginning of August. She ended up messaging me like wondering if I was gonna sign, and I told her like, yeah, I signed the lease, yay. I don't know exactly what we said. I'll put the messages up. Anyways, this was 2 months prior. This was June 10th that we first talked, and I signed my lease shortly thereafter, but I didn't move until August. So for the next 2 months, this girl messaged me so much about so many unnecessary things. She asked what kind of laundry detergent I liked. She said she already had kitchen supplies. She would send decorating ideas for like the common area where we both share. But I was like, this is normal, right? Like, this is just what roommates do, you know? So I just kind of brushed that off. Looking back now, it was a little creepy. It was a little weird. It was a little obsessive. And I probably shouldn't have moved in with her. But I had already signed the lease. So I think I was trying to convince myself in my head that, like, this was all normal. The amount that she was messaging me. So then, before move-in, I can't remember the exact date, but, like, it wasn't time for me to move in yet. She sent me a series of audio messages on Facebook Messenger. I think they amounted up to like 5 minutes worth of just her talking to herself. Anyways, to make a long story short, she made it very clear the roommate that lived in my room before was a hermit.
She never came out of her room except to go to work.
And she had a cat, and she never changed the cat's litter box.
The roommate before you, she was very dirty. She hoarded her cat in her room. I could always smell her litter box and the cat odor through the bathroom so much that once or twice I actually had to, as kindly as possible, ask her to clean it up. When they came and painted your walls, they left the door open to vent the paint. Oh my gosh, it stunk up the entire apartment. It stunk so bad that I had to close that door because it was like, ugh.
And she kept like saying like, I can get coffee beans to get the smell out.
So if you go to the Dollar Tree or Dollar General, whatever's convenient to you, and you get any kind of plastic cup and then get like actual coffee grounds and just set it around your room. I've done that around the apartment to soak up odors. Think about it as like when you go to the perfume store and you smell perfume and then you smell coffee, kind of the same concept. The coffee gets that odor out. You might want to do that because otherwise you might have a hard time smelling in there. But I just wanted to do a nice favor and let you know this.
Like, it seemed nice. She was trying to give me a heads up like, hey girl, your room smells like ass. So I was like prepared for move-in day for my room to smell bad. Then move-in day comes along. Yay, this is so fun. I ended up moving in on a Tuesday, and there was like a small gift on the table for me. Like it was like a note card, it had my name on it, and it was like, I'm so excited to be roommates, blah blah. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. I ended up, you know, moving my stuff in, and she came home shortly after. I was like, did you get what I had laid out for you on the table? I was like, yeah, thank you so much, blah blah blah. And then she wouldn't stop talking to me. She would like follow me into my room as I was like trying to unpack. So I was like, okay, I'm the new roommate, we're getting to know each other. She talks a lot, and she ended up letting me borrow her wax burner.
You're very welcome to use my candle warmer. I have like 3. Said I have a lot of scents, so I don't know like what your cup of tea is. Like if you like vanillas, lemons, citrusy, florals, whatever. But I have all of the above.
Because I didn't have one at the time, she was like, yeah, it smells so bad in here. I'm like, girl, I know. I was like, that's nice. That was that. I moved in for the most, like, you know, I moved in. I didn't like decorate or anything. And that was Tuesday. The next day, I woke up to her knocking on my door. It was 9 a.m. I just personally would never feel comfortable enough to like knock on someone's door at 9 o'clock in the morning and wake them up. Especially if I didn't know them and they just moved in. I don't know. That's just me though. I opened the door and she was wide awake, and she had a keychain to show me that she like bought off Etsy, and she was like, yeah, it's this really cool Etsy shop, you should check it out. that was it. That's why she knocked on my door and woke me up at 9 o'clock in the morning, was to show me a keychain. So I was like, that did not just happen, right? Like, that's not normal. Like, I kind of tried to brush it off again. I've already forgot to say, like, some stuff about her that kind of isn't relevant to the big picture, but she did hoard animals. So before me moving in, I came to look at the apartment, and the day that I was coming to look, she was like, hey, I have a surprise for you. And I was like, okay. I got to the apartment just to check it out, and she was setting up a bearded dragon. Like, she got a bearded dragon, like, without telling me. And she already had 2 dogs. The apartment policy is you can have 2 pets in the apartment. Basically being like, okay, 1 person can have a pet and 1 person can have a pet. But I didn't have any pets, so I was cool with her having 2 dogs. But yeah, she brought in a bearded dragon. It took up a whole wall in the living room. He was cool though, whatever. But I was just kind of like... So I also remember before I moved in, she messaged me and asked how I felt about snakes. And I said no. I said absolutely not. Then I saw she posted on Facebook, like I hadn't moved in yet. She posted that she got 2 snakes named like Cookie and Brownie or something. And I was like, so now she got a dog, another dog, a bearded dragon, and 2 snakes. That's 5 animals. Anyway, so yeah, she hoarded animals. That's that. I'll tell you more about that later. One of her dogs, big golden lab, she was a sweetheart, she pooped on the floor right in front of my room. And so I told her, I was like, hey, Abby pooped on the floor. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's totally my fault. I forgot to take her out this morning. I feel so bad. And I was like, oh, it's okay. Thinking she would start cleaning it up, she stood there and talked, like, about just random, like, I just talked like there wasn't dog turds sitting there in front of my door. That was not fun. Okay, and then that night I told her that Thursday morning my mom was coming over for breakfast, because I thought it would be nice to just kind of tell her like, hey, sorry, my mom is coming. Like, I think she was coming at like 7 a.m. So I was like, we might wake you up, but we'll try to be quiet. I just wanted to give her a heads up. And she was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Thursday morning I got up around 6:45 to like start making breakfast for my mom. And I swear to you, it was like she was waiting at her door for me to walk out, because as soon as I open my door, I hear her bedroom door open, and I'm like, I can't get away from her because she talks so much. I'm like, dang, even at 6:45 in the morning, she has one volume that she talks in all the time, and it's very loud. And so I'm just like, hi, like, I need to start cooking. So I just like go to the kitchen, and I hear her go back into her room, which is where her dogs were at the time. And I have like kind of bad hearing, so all I really heard was the word accident. So I was like, oh, maybe one of her dogs had an accident on the floor. So I started making breakfast, and she comes into the kitchen, and she had showered the night before, and she goes, I feel like I have to take another shower. And I was like, girl, what do you mean? Like, what? Why? And she was like, because I had an accident last night. And I was like, you had an accident last night. In my mind, I'm like, maybe she, like, you know, she was a girl. We get our period. Sometimes it happens. I'm like, whatever. But yeah, you should shower and stop sitting on the couch. I don't care what kind of accident it is that you had. Go shower. I ended up going into my room and getting the wax burner I had borrowed from her, and I brought it back in, and I was like, hey, where should I put this? And she's like, oh, just set it on my bed. So I started walking her room, and she goes, oh, it might smell bad in there. Sorry. And as soon as I walk in, it did. It smelled bad. I put the wax things on her bed, like she said, and she had white sheets. And on the sheet, I'm not kidding, there was a poop stain, y'all. This sounds like I'm making it up. When you're in that situation, I just turned around and walked out of the room. I pretended I didn't see it. I continued making breakfast, and then at this point, it kind of registers to me that her feces is like getting on the couch, because she sat on the couch. So I'm like, no, surely she at least changed before she came out of her room. When she got up off the couch, y'all, her pajama pants had a shit stain on them. That was my first like, whoa, this girl is not okay. I was like, there's no like making excuses for this. There's no like, let me get to know her. Like, no, she pooped her bed. I get it, some people deal with stuff, but like, she pooped in her bed and then was like, oh, I have to shower? Like, girl, yeah, you have to shower and change your sheets and change your pajamas. And don't tell your new roommate that just moved in 2 days ago. I'm a very open person and y'all know that. But if I pooped myself, I would not even tell my sister, like the person I am closest to. Better yet, a roommate. And I would shower. That's the first thing I would do. I would, you know, clean myself up. She was not interested in doing any of that. I'm gonna move on from that because it grosses me out. I don't like it. That was in the morning. I continued to make breakfast. Okay, I did not have an appetite anymore, but like my mom was coming over to see my apartment for the first time. The roommate is still in her poopy pajamas. I wish I was kidding. She did not change her pajamas that morning. Like, I know you're waiting for me to say she changed. She didn't. So my mom came over and, you know, I introduced them because the roommate was awake doing her laundry at 7 in the morning. Not her poop laundry though. Those sheets were still on the bed. Breakfast was ready and we sit down at the table, and like how the apartment's set up, the table's there and then the laundry room's there. So she's just standing there listening in on our conversations. Like, specifically remember my mom asking me if the apartments came furnished, as in like, did I have to buy furniture for the living room? Before I could even get a word, like I was like, to answer, I like inhaled to answer. Homegirl, Poopy Pants, is like, oh yeah, it came furnished, and starts talking about the furniture to my mom. And I remember my mom like looking at me like, literally it sounded like she was having a conversation with her mom. Like, oop, just moved into my apartment, mom. Let me talk about how it came furnished. Like, it was weird and I couldn't get a word in, and me and my mom both were kind of just like, so that happened Thursday morning, and then I had to go to work. But I was like, you know what, Morgan, you're gonna live with this girl for at least a year. You're gonna have to get along. You're gonna have to talk to her. You're gonna have to get to know her. So I was like, okay, when I get home from work, I'm gonna like sit and talk to her. I'm not gonna go straight to my room. I like came home, sat on the couch, and I knew if I sat on the couch, she would come out of her room. Like, I had already caught on, like, if I'm out there, she's gonna be out there, which is just not my lifestyle. I did not want to live like that. Like, I didn't even want to have a roommate to begin with. But I was like, okay, I'll just sit on the couch and wait for her to come out. Sure enough, she instantly came out and like sat down there with me and was like, how was your day? And I was like, it was good. And then she ended up telling me about her ex-husband. So she was married and divorced. No judgment or anything. She was 23 or 24, so a little bit older than me. She told me that it was toxic, he was abusive, and like she really opened up to me, and I was listening. And then she told me that her ex-best friend is now engaged to her ex-husband, and she was talking about how like that hurt her, and like she was crying and stuff. So I was just like, yeah, like I'm sorry, that sucks. But yeah, ex-best friend engaged to her ex-husband. Just remember that. Just keep that in mind. And so yeah, she started crying about that and she was really sad. And then, you know, I said like what you would say in that situation. I was like, everybody moves on, everybody ends up being happy again. And she was like, I think I'm really considering getting a puppy. Y'all, there was 2 dogs, 2 big dogs, a bearded dragon, and she had got rid of the snakes before I moved in. I forgot to mention that. But she literally had the snakes for less than 2 months and got rid of them. That's another story. I was like, yeah, that's not a good idea. I was like, I kind of like politely was like, ooh, doesn't the apartment only allow 2 animals per unit? And she was like, oh yeah, the office people know me. They'll be fine with it. Like, they know I have Diablo, which is the bearded dragon's name. And I was like, oh, and I'm thinking, girl, I'm not okay with it. I love dogs. My biggest dream is to be surrounded by dogs, but not in this tiny apartment. Not when you can't even, I'm sorry, but like, your dogs poop on the floor, you poop in your bed. Like, don't get another one, please. She was like, yeah, I mean, it's an idea. I'm just thinking about it. It wouldn't be for a long time anyways. I'm like, yeah, maybe don't get a puppy. So that was that. I went to bed. Good night. That was Thursday. Friday, I ended up staying home from work. I remember I had a really bad headache, so I stayed in bed all day, didn't leave my room, and I got a Facebook message. You know, I heard that little ding, and it was the roommate messaging me as per usual. And it was a picture of her and a dog, and I was like, aw, cute. You're not bringing it home, are you? She brought a puppy home that night. Long story short, I was trying to be polite. But like, we had just had a conversation about how that wasn't a good idea. But also it was a puppy, so I was like kind of excited. once she brought it home, because like it wasn't my puppy, so I didn't have to take care of it, but I like, you know, I got to hold it and stuff, so I was like kind of happy about that. But also I knew, you know, because I'm an adult, I knew that this was not a good idea. This girl is not stable financially, I can tell you that. She was not emotionally stable. I had that conversation with her the night before. She was crying and stuff, and I think she got a puppy out of like loneliness and out of just wanting affection, which is not good. That's not why you should get animals if you can't take care of your animals. I lived with her for a week. The entire week I saw her take her dogs that she already had, I saw her take them out twice the entire week. I mean, I'm sure she took them out more like while I was at work and stuff, but like that is not enough. Okay, so she brings the puppy home Friday night. I'm like, this is a cute puppy, whatever. I go to sleep. I guess she's in puppy land. So like, honestly, this puppy was kind of nice because she left me alone for like a little bit. So Saturday morning comes along and I woke up and I had a Facebook message of her being like, hey, can you do me a favor? She was like, can you watch Bailey, which was the puppy's name, the new puppy. She was like, can you watch Bailey while I go get some stuff from PetSmart that I need for her, like a collar and stuff? And I was like, yeah, of course, it's a puppy. She said some creepy stuff like, thanks, Aunt Morg, which kind of just really rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know, it just made me uncomfortable. I ended up watching the puppy for maybe like an hour. We were just laying on my bed and stuff. Very cute puppy, obviously, it was a puppy. She ended up peeing on my floor, and like that's fine, puppies do that. I went and got like spray cleaner, cleaned up my floor, and as I was walking out of my room, the roommate came home as I was walking out with the spray cleaner, and she's like, oh, did Bailey pee? And I was like, yeah, she peed on my floor, it's okay, I got it cleaned up. And then the puppy comes out behind me as I say that. And this girl looks at this dog and goes, it's okay, Bailey. Mommy had an accident too. At this point, I know what that means. I'm not surprised, but I'm still surprised. I will tell you that when someone tells you they peed or pooped themselves, a grown adult, the shock factor never goes away. She's like, it's okay, Bailey, mommy had an accident too. And I'm like, you're kidding. Maybe she's talking about the day she pooped her bed. Maybe that's it. That's what she's talking about, right? She stands there, she has her bag of like PetSmart stuff. She's showing me like toys and stuff she got for her dog, talking a lot, like at least 15 minutes. And then she turns around and I catch the glimpse of like the back of her shirt. The whole back of her shirt had a ring on it, like a ring around it, like she peed herself while she was sitting in her car. I get it. Some people have issues. Some adults have issues where they pee themselves. But normal people, normal adults do not stand there and show your new roommate dog toys that you got when you have pee on your shirt. Like, she had to have been in her car, sitting in her car, and just did a full pee. It wasn't a little bit, it was a lot. It was after talking to me for like 15 minutes about dog toys. She finally goes in her room and she changes. She comes out wearing like clean, dry clothes, but like she didn't shower. And she had been like sitting in her pee. Babies don't even like to sit in their pee. Like when babies pee in their diaper, they're like, change me now. And this is a grown woman. Like if you have an issue where you're gonna like have accidents, if you're gonna have a roommate, maybe tell your roommate beforehand, because I really wish I had known that beforehand. But also, if you have accidents, like deal with it yourself. Don't bring me into that. Sunday, the next day, I ended up having 2 of my 3 whole friends came over to see my apartment, and the roommate introduced herself. And at this point, my friends knew about like her peeing and pooping herself, so my friends are kind of like, hi, and we stayed in my room with the door shut. Yeah, that was that. Also, I remember her dog like peed a lot. Big old puddle of pee right in front of my door, same spot where all the other dog accidents happened, to the point where like the wood, it wasn't real wood, was like distorted because there was so much moisture from like dog pee in that spot, which means her dogs were not being taken out, which is really sad. I have not been coloring at all. God. Her dog peed again. She didn't clean it up for like at least 30 minutes. Like my friends were like, is she gonna clean that up? And I'm like, I don't know. At this point, I was ready to clean it up myself. Also, come to find out, like, one of my friends that came over that day almost left because she was getting physically sick because of the smell in the apartment. Before I moved in, the roommate told me, hey, your room smells bad because of cat litter. But I cleaned my room and my room smelled like fine. It was the whole apartment that smelled probably because she like peed and pooped herself. I'm just being honest. The apartment didn't smell good. So that's how Sunday went. And then Monday comes around and I'm like up getting ready for work, but I hadn't came out of my room yet. And I hear like a little like a light knock. And I just ignore it because I just don't have the energy for her anymore. She knocked again and she was like, are you up? Like she literally said that through the door. I guess she wanted me to open the door, but I didn't. And I was just like, yeah. She didn't say anything. So I finished getting ready for work. I waited until the last minute to leave because I knew when I walked out of my room, she would be out in the common area, like waiting for me. No one should have to live like that. Why was I doing that? As soon as I opened my door, she's standing there. And I wish I was lying. I wish I was. I like kind of try to walk past her and she's like, hey, are you busy? And I was like, I gotta go to work. And she was like, oh, I was just gonna see if you want to have a heart-to-heart. I was like, I have to go to work. Like, that's not like me. Like, if somebody needs to talk, yeah. But like, I really did. I had to go. So I was like, I have to go. What's going on? And she was just like, I can't keep Bailey. Talking about the puppy she just got. What, 2 days ago? And I'm like, you probably can't. Like, I wanted to be like, yeah, that's what I said in the first place, but whatever. I was like trying to be nice. So I'm like, I think it's very responsible that you're owning up to the fact that you can't take care of her right now. So you're gonna have to rehome her. She was like crying and stuff. But like also like don't get puppies on impulse, whatever. So I told her I had to go to work and that we would talk more about like finding her a home and stuff once I got home. Like I was like, maybe I can find one of my friends that is looking for a puppy or something. So I came home from work. I told her that night, like later that night, that I had a friend that was interested in getting the puppy. And it was actually my friend that came over that night. Like she had met the puppy and she was like, you know, my family is ready for a puppy. We'll take her. I like gave the roommate my friend's phone number and I was like, she's gonna get the dog, text her, y'all can figure it out. They texted each other on Monday about Kylie, my friend, getting the dog, and they plan to meet up and like, you know, she get the dog on Wednesday. So just keep that in mind. Kylie's all excited, like, yay, we're basically in retro, she's rescuing this dog. Monday night, I just hear like the roommate like hysterically laughing, like kind of creepily hysterically laughing, and she's sitting in the living room, and I really think she was obnoxious, like being obnoxiously loud. So I would like come out there and be like, what's so funny? But like at this point I had it. Like I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to come have a conversation, so I just like let her be obnoxiously loud. Turns out what she was laughing at was one of my YouTube videos. How do I find this out, you ask? Well, once she was done obnoxiously laughing and just being loud, she came to my door and I had it locked and she was like outside the door. She was like, I just watched your video. It was hilarious. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, I think she expected me to open the door, but I was just like, thanks. It was my move-in vlog. In the video she had watched, I had pointed out that the sink was like discolored because it was, because all the sinks here are like yellow. And she was like, I have some spray cleaner that can get your sink back to white. It works really good. And I was like, okay, thanks. I'll get it later. Like I made it very clear. I did not want it now. I was like, thank you. Thanks for telling me I can use it. I'll get it later. She's like, I'll get it. Walks away. And I hear her like coming back, except how the rooms are set up. She, instead of like going to the door, my bedroom door again, she goes through the bathroom and comes into my room, which is not okay. I think she caught on that I wasn't gonna open my door, so she just like went through the bathroom and came into my room, and she had spray cleaner and a rag, and like she was about to start cleaning my sink, and I was like, I got it, I can do it. Like I wasn't even like, oh, you don't have to do that. Like I was like, I can do it. And she cut me off and she was like, no, it's okay, I like to clean. First of all, if you liked to clean, you would not sit in your own feces. You wouldn't. I don't know why she said that. I think she just wanted to stay in my room. And that like I had to like walk out. Like I left. I was hysterical. Like I was like, how am I supposed to live with someone like this? It's fucking weird. Like, oh my gosh. Then on Tuesday, I started wondering like how anyone had ever lived with this girl before. So then I started doing a little research, a little digging. And I remember she had told me about her past 2 roommates. She said her first roommate was cool, they got along, but she was an alcoholic. She talked about her like, she talked down on her. She was like, she drank like every day as soon as she got home. She said that she was in vet school and that was all I knew about her. I think I somehow caught on to her first name, that she was in vet school and that she was an alcoholic. Okay, let me try to look this girl up. So I type in her first name, I type in like this university I'm near, vet school, and I end up finding her. So I message her and I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so's roommate, and I think you were roommates with her in the past. I was just wondering if you could message me and we could talk. I'm having some issues. And turns out she had all the same issues that I was having. And I learned that this roommate ended her lease early. Like she got out. She was like, no. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because all I knew about you is that you were an alcoholic, which obviously ended up not being true. Usually when people talk bad about someone that was in their life in the past, usually it's because they're trying to cover up that they were a bad person. So I don't believe all that. And then I tried looking for the other roommate, the one with the cat that like apparently made my room smell really bad. I tried to find her to like talk to her, but I couldn't. But I'm sure that this roommate was lying about the cat litter being what's made my room smell bad. I really think she said that as a cover-up so that I wouldn't catch on that she peed and pooped on herself and the apartment smelled really bad. That's just my theory. I'll never actually know, but I'm pretty confident in my hypothesis. This is when I started being like, I wonder what else she told me was like not true. So then I'm like, okay, she has an ex-husband. I don't mess with, you know, like survivors of abuse. Like I will always believe the victim. So I didn't even question that that was true, but I was like, this ex-best friend of hers being engaged to her ex-husband, as bad as this sounds, I was like, who would be her friend? That is so bad. So I did some digging, ended up finding her, and I messaged her and I was like, hey, this is blah blah blah's roommate and I'm like kind of concerned and I was wondering if I could talk to you. Please don't be freaked out. So then she's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, you know, I tell her everything and I was like, apparently you're her ex-best friend and I just wanted to know like if she's lying or not. This girl was like, ex-best friend is a reach. We met one time because, get this, because the roommate posted on a Facebook group that she was lonely and needed friends. Guess what Facebook group that was? This is so full circle. It was the Facebook group that she added me in when I worked at a thrift store and I met her for the first time. Maybe in her eyes, this girl was her best friend, but they met up one time. I don't know. I was like, ooh, she lied. I live with a liar. And then I learned from the ex-best friend that this roommate I'm living with had been arrested. And that there was, her mugshot was on Google search, and sure enough, I looked it up, and if I remember correctly, I think she got arrested for domestic violence. I don't know what went down, but I can tell you that when you're living with someone and you find their mugshot on Google Images, it is such a scary feeling. And it was a scary mugshot. I'm not gonna lie. Like she didn't look like herself. It was just scary. At this point, I find the mugshot, I'm like, I gotta go. So I go to my sister's house and I'm like, I'm moving the heck out of here. I go to management bright and early. I was waiting for them to open. I walk my little butt in there and I'm like, hey, I know move-in was literally a week ago, but I gotta get out. And they're like, we'll sit down, we'll have a talk. And I was like, no. I've slept at my sister's house and I'm paying rent and I gotta go. And they're like, well, are y'all just not getting along? And I was like, no, she poops herself. Like I was not having it. Like I was not gonna have them try to tell me that this was like just a roommate feud that could be fixed. And then somebody in the management office had like overheard me talking to the worker that I was talking to. And she was like, what's your roommate's name? And before I can even finish with the girl's first name, they all in the office, they all kind of look at each other like they knew exactly who. Like there had been issues with this girl in the past. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get you out of there. Like it was like a flip switch. They were like, yeah, nobody's been able to live with her. You're her third roommate. We understand, like, it's not safe for you to be there. And I was like, sweet, so y'all are gonna move me? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, heck yeah, they're gonna get me out of here. So in the meantime, while they were trying to find me a room, I ended up just staying at my sister's house. Once they found me a room, I sent her a Facebook message and I was like, hey, let me get the message. I'll read it for word. Hey, I just want to give you a heads up. I'll be moving to a different apartment. I'll be packing and moving my stuff tonight and should be moved out by tomorrow. I've talked to your past alcoholic roommate and was unaware that she ended her lease early. Going forward, if you want to find a new roommate, I'd suggest letting them know in advance about the smell in the apartment. I don't think it's because of the cat you told me about. I hope you know this is for my own mental health and I mean no harm and truly wish you the best. Immediately after I sent that Facebook message, she blocked me. And she texted my friend. Remember, my friend was supposed to buy the puppy from her. She texted my friend and said, I can't rehome Bailey to you anymore. Ask your friend why. Like, she took it personal and like didn't rehome this puppy that she couldn't take care of, which was really like concerning. Like, used this dog against my friend. Like, my friend was like crying. She was so upset. All because I politely was like, hey, I'm not living here anymore. My friend that was supposed to get the puppy, Kylie, I love you, Kylie. She came with me to help me pack all my stuff up. Mind you, I had already packed my stuff and moved into this apartment a week ago. So I literally had to pack everything back up. It was sad and it was hard work. I'm so glad my friend helped me. I actually ended up filming a lot of that day, like just to document how gross that apartment was. So I can put some footage in the video of like me leaving that day. Okay, so I just want to show you guys what I have to deal with. Just a little glimpse into my glamorous apartment living home. I could only cook on this burner because, come take a closer look. Crust. And so when I would put the burner on, it would start smoking. And yes, I could clean it, but also like it was like this when I got here. That's fun. Usually when I open this drawer, there's baby roaches. Come have a look. Oh, there's a cute one right there. Mind you, this is all her stuff, not mine. I already emptied my kitchen cabinet, but this is all I had to keep my dishes in. She has these 3. So, okay. 4. Sorry.
Including half of that one.
And this is her food. This is mine. Fridge tour. These expired May 1st. It is August 15th. We don't know what that is. Here we have an assortment of frozen fruit.
As if we didn't have enough.
But it's like she froze it after it went moldy. A frozen Pop-Tart.
I just am concerned about that.
Oh my god.
I'll do it. Holy shit.
Her dogs are going insane, so they're scratching at the couch because she doesn't take them out. Also, this is not her couch. The apartment provided this couch, so I hope they charge her for it. We took these curtains down because her previous roommate, she said to take them for her. And as I took them down, that's nasty! Just take a good whiff. I know you can't smell it, but just imagine.
Imagine disgusting PetSmart.
Imagine PetSmart if it was abandoned and mildew and pets died and food rotted. That smell is what it smells like. Okay, so.
No.
It stinks.
Ew.
So bad! Okay, I can't. I promise you, I'm not being dramatic, y'all. I am not a drama queen.
She not.
It's bad. It's so bad, okay?
It's the first time I came over, there was dog puddle of piss over
Yes.
there.
Always right here, too.
Can we get a close-up of the bearded dragon?
Yeah, this is one of her mini pets, a bearded dragon. He seems to be taken pretty good care of, except that lettuce has been in here since I moved. I just love this lovely view when I walk into my apartment. Look at it. That's like toxic sludge. At one point she was like, they still have a couple days left. Like, girl, no they don't. Yeah, it was rough, but. So I left, got all my stuff packed up, and Then when they moved me to a new unit, I got my unit that they moved me to. That's a whole different story time. Basically, they moved me into a room that wasn't even clean. Like there were smushed bugs on the wall. Like, I guess they were trying to get me into a room quick, but like it had not been like inspected by like the cleaners and stuff. And the roommate's boyfriend's stuff was like in my room. Like he had been living there and like putting his stuff in my room because it was an empty room. And I was just like, I'm not living here. I had to be like a little mini Karen and get into a safe and comfortable living situation. But I'm glad I stood up for myself. I really had to be an adult. I really had to stand up. When I say be an adult, my mom really did pretend to be me on the phone a lot because like I didn't know what to do.
I'm thinking at this moment, I need to just contact the health department to have your entire complex shut down. I want my money back, period. Where do you recommend that I stay tonight? Like, you know, since I've paid you my rent, do I come and sleep in the office? Where do I stay?
I mean, we gave you a unit originally, and then we gave you another unit.
You gave me 2 units that are both safety hazards and uninhabitable. If the health department decides to shut your complex down, do you think corporate is going to like that?
No way. And I feel like I'm kind of rushing towards the end, but like that was such a mess. I found out through one of the workers in the office, they were like, I'm probably not supposed to be telling you this, but like she, as in my old roommate, called the office, the management office, to say that she didn't think my reasoning for moving was valid. Like, I don't know what she meant by that, but I think like she was like trying to see if management could like keep me there, which is really scary. Anyways, I ended up moving. She ended up getting evicted because I was the 3rd roommate that could not live with her. I'm sure she got a ton of fines because the apartment was disgusting because of her dog she didn't take care of. I hope those dogs are okay. I really do. Also, after the fact that I moved out, my sister found an old review that this roommate had left at like a reptile company, like, you know, Facebook reviews. I don't even want to, okay, if y'all want to hear about, like, if y'all want to see our old Facebook messages of her being creepy and you want to hear about the reptile store and her hoarding reptiles and just like anything else about this, let me know, because my camera battery's about to die and I've talked about this for too long. Anyways, that was my horrible roommate experience. I have a cool roommate now, but like I just want to live alone. I think I'm just permanently traumatized. Okay, I gotta go. Bye.